right here at 10/15/2020, and this is about 4:12:04
Yes, ma'am. 4:12 p.m.
Central Standard Time.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose phone number is this?
That's a special agent Taylor Pace's phone number.
Okay, and it connects with Ms. Dykes,
Yes, ma'am.
and they speak for about 4 minutes and 17 seconds.
Correct.
And that's when you identify who you are, that you're looking for Mr. Beltran, you want to talk to him, let us know if you've heard from him, where is he, things of that nature.
Yes, ma'am.
And she indicated to you, and again, you were in full uniform, there was an officer there, she indicated to you she didn't know where he was, hadn't seen him in a couple weeks.
Yeah, the officers in full uniform. Yes, ma'am. I was wearing a shirt that identified where I was from. But yes, we identified. So did special agent Taylor Pace did identify where he's from.
Okay, and she had indicated to you that she hadn't heard from him either, correct?
Correct.
Did she indicate to you that she had a good phone number for him?
No.
In fact, she let you know that she didn't know how to get hold of him.
Right.
Looking on that same, there's this yellow line boxed around, and tell the jury what the, I guess, significance of those phone calls are.
This is at about 4:20 p.m. that same day. It was about 10 minutes after we spoke with Ms. Dykes on the phone over on Kensington. She has communication with who we later found out to be her wife, Nina Moreno, at that 321-200-4328 number. And then at 4:26, a phone call was placed to Charles Beltran.
Okay, and did that call connect?
Yes.
And after that phone call with Mr. Beltran, do you see his phone number listed on any of the CDRs after that?
I don't believe so.
Okay, it appears that after that, either they don't communicate on this particular phone, or don't communicate at all.
Correct.
Okay, but you can't tell from the phone records what happened.
I can.
Okay. Now, additionally, looking at these call records, obviously there are several phone calls made from this phone number during the first part of October. Did it appear that this phone number was kind of her primary phone call?
Yes, at the time. Yes.
Okay. And then after this conversation that you and Special Agent Page had with her, were there just numerous, I guess, in comparison to before, were there numerous phone calls placed to that phone number for Nina Morano?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, lots of them.
It appears so, yes.
Okay. At some point, did the phone calls originating from this phone number stop?
Yes.
And what did that indicate to you?
That the usage for the phone had largely stopped. I think it was about October 17th. I can take a look at the phone records. That the phone was largely discontinued. I mean, there was some sporadic use on it for the rest of the duration of the warrant. We know, as we stated earlier, the warrant only ran until about November 23rd. But after about October 17th, it was largely they largely stopped using that number.
Were you able to identify that she started using a different number?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what number was that?
It was 214-364-6329, I believe.
Okay, and that was a phone number that prior to that had been one of the phone numbers that Nina Morano had used.
Yes.
Okay. She also used the 312 phone number as well, correct?
Yeah, the 3212 number. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're talking about people with multiple phones, multiple phone numbers.
Correct.
Now, was there some point after, well, first of all, let me ask you, did you all think Ms. Dykes was being completely honest with you about her contact with Mr. Beltran?
At that time, on October 15th, when we knocked on the door, honestly, I had no opinion. I didn't know.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
And was there anything about her demeanor on the phone that made you think, I don't know, that you had any opinion about?
Not really, no.
Okay.
At that time, I didn't really I was standing there with the conversation was going on, so I didn't speak to her directly, but I was standing right next to her, so I didn't get anything that was, that would say either way. I guess I could say it that way, just I didn't see
Okay.
anything that would say either way.
That's fair. At some point, were you able to go out to her workplace and speak with some of her coworkers
Yes, in November, yes ma'am.
in November? At some point, right around this time, were you all kind of, I guess, asked to pull back some of your investigation?
Yes, so on October 15th, after we spoke with Ms. Dykes, we had kind of completed the circle of looking for Charles Beltran to that point. Our superiors spoke with their superiors and the decision was made that it was still a missing persons case at that time. We didn't have a federal nexus to work unless we were specifically invited. They wanted to move forward with the case of the missing persons. So we discontinued at that time on, I believe, about October 16th and turned over all of our information.
Okay. And, you said that you had to be specifically invited back. Did that happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how did that happen?
This is the best of my knowledge of some conversations the superiors had that I wasn't there for. The best of my knowledge is they had executed, they being the missing persons unit, had executed a warrant at the residence at the end of October. Had found that no one lived there any longer, it looks like it had been moved. They had found some things in the crime scene processing, and they had no movement on the case. For example, like they had not found any evidence of Maricela. They had not found any new phone records or social media usage for her. She had not reported back into her family. So from my understanding at that time, they just requested our assistance again just for the resources and the assistance to continue a larger scale investigation.
Okay. And resources, manpower, you all have access to different databases and things like that that maybe missing persons unit doesn't?
In some cases, yes,
In
ma'am.
some cases,
Mhm.
okay. And what all did you do when you got back involved in the case?
I assisted with the interviews of coworkers at her place of work, and assisted in the interview of Kyle Williams. And during that time, that's when I wrote the search warrants for her phone records.
Okay. When you interviewed Kyle Williams, what information were you trying to find?
Just the whereabouts of Lisa Dykes, trying to better understand the relationship between her and Charles, and Nina Morano, and just overall where we believe that they could be located.
Okay. Did he provide you with a cell phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you able to locate her or get a hold of her at that point?
No, we're not able to locate her, no, ma'am.
Okay. Did you advise Kyle, let her know, hey, we just want to talk to her?
Yeah, we spoke with Kyle, said, hey, we're looking for her, and we left our information and said, for contact and stuff like that. So,
Okay. And were you all trying to contact her throughout this time as well?
I specifically wasn't. I don't know if anybody else on the investigation was or not. I
Okay.
specifically didn't call her.
And is there a reason why you might not just, when you get a new phone number, pick up the phone and call her and say, hey, this is FBI, we're looking for you?
Previously, it was unsuccessful, and then from the interviews that we had in the both with Kyle and then with co-workers, they made statements to us that she had known we were looking for her and was not trying to contact us.
Okay.
And at that point in time, we were looking for her. We didn't want to lose the phone number. That would be the reason I wouldn't try to contact her. I can only testify to that.
Okay. And the coworkers that you're talking about, you talked to Rosa Marie Olivia Martinez, almost so Rodriguez, that's a famous pop star, Martinez. She gave you guys some information, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
She was actually in the room when you all contacted her, is that fair?
Yes.
Did she let you know how Ms. Dykes was acting after that phone call?
Did you inject the hearsay?
Sustained.
Your Honor, I was asking him for how she was acting, I didn't ask for any
It's
words.
still hearsay, is what she said.
Yes, but it's based on what the witness, Ms. Rodriguez, told him.
Okay. Were you able to talk to a couple other coworkers there as well?
Yes, we talked to multiple coworkers there.
Okay. And did you become aware that she had quit her job?
Yes.
Judge again on injected hearsay. Well, go ahead, whatever. I'll strike it, Judge. I'll withdraw.
All right.
You learned through your investigation that she had quit her job,
Yes, ma'am.
and that was right after you all contacted her, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any idea, I guess your investigation at that point had stopped until you were invited back in and had that nexus, is that correct?
That's correct.
Were you able to, in your investigation, locate any areas that Ms. Dykes and Mr. Beltran might be?
No. Originally, no. We had heard a couple different things that she made in Florida, but later on, we were able to obtain some records of border crossings in December. But from the conversations I had, I didn't get anything definitive.
Detective, I'm handing you what's been marked State's Exhibit 300. Is that a fair and accurate representation of the email and photographs of vehicles that you were a part of on the emails?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, move to admit State's Exhibit 300 for all purposes.
Yeah.
To the next council.
No objection, Judge, these are good pictures.
All right, State's Exhibit number 300 is admitted for all purposes.
Commissioner Motion, Your Honor.
You may, how many pages is that?
It's 4.
Thank you.
And this first page, this is an email from a Charles Plaskett, and you're in this email chain up here. It was forwarded to you, Stephen Prince, sorry, up there on 12/23 of 2020, correct?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it appears that there was a border crossing, Charles Anthony Beltran, 12/22/20, a crossing, and we have a license plate number,
Yes, ma'am.
crossed with Lisa Beltran.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just a one-way crossing, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What records are the FBI able to obtain as far as border crossings?
My understanding is the only ones that we can really obtain are the ones where they come into our country. So if they're crossing from Mexico into the United States.
Okay, so from Mexico to the United States, the Mexican government does not give us necessarily the records from US to Mexico, correct?
No, they don't necessarily have to. No.
Okay. And that border crossing, was it indicated in this email, and I think it's on the third page, where that border crossing occurred?
But yes, ma'am, in Nogales.
Nogales, where is that located?
I couldn't tell you specifically where that's located, I just know it's on the border coming into the United States.
Okay, do you know if it's in Texas or if it's in,
I don't.
okay, no problem. And then there was a photograph of this Jeep associated with that border crossing, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then there was a second notification, that was on 12/23/2020, correct?
Yeah, so we had notified on 12/23, the crossing occurred on 12/22.
On 12/22, okay. And then on 12/4/2020, there was a crossing of this license plate number, a California plate, of an individual who crossed with Nina Morano, and of course, the same, on
Yes.
12/4/2020, correct?
Yes.
And what is that, what plate is that?
The plate right there is 8NYK735, or 8 Nora Yankee King 735, it's a California plate.
Okay. Initially, it said Lisa Beltran,
Yes,
and this one says Lisa Ahmed.
yes.
Do you, in your investigation, have you been able to understand and know that Lisa Ahmed is her, I guess, former married name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Lisa Dykes is her maiden name.
My understanding, yes.
Okay, and then where does this Beltran come in?
believe it was a name change that occurred as time went on after, October
Okay.
of 2020.
And that was, were you aware in your investigation that she and Nina Morano had been legally married?
Yes,
Okay, and they have a marriage license from Pennsylvania, wherever that ceremony took place, they have a marriage license from Pennsylvania, correct?
yes ma'am.
And then at some point, they petitioned to have their name changed to, last name to Beltran.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Is this the vehicle that is indicated that Miss Morano and Miss Dykes crossed over in?
Yes ma'am.
And that's from Mexico to the United States
That's correct.
on December 4th, 2020.
That's correct.
Okay. And that also was the Nogales crossing.
That is correct.
You mentioned the search warrant that was conducted on October 31st, 2023. Were you out, I'm sorry, 2020, were you out there for that search warrant?
I was not.
Okay. Were you able, in your investigation, to locate some other addresses that were connected to Lisa Dykes in the Texas area?
Yes.
Okay, and what was one of those addresses?
I believe it was 274 Turning Tree down in the Wilmot area, and then again, the Kensington address.
And did you, based on that search, did it, I guess, what did that tell you? Did she used to live there? What was the importance of that address?
From an ID that she had, that was the address on the ID. And then, from later conversations, we were able to find out that she had.
Judge, I'm object to hearsay in regards to later conversations. I don't know.
Sustained.
In the furtherance of your investigation, were you able to learn about where she lived?
Again, that's backdooring hearsay in regards to later conversations, whoever he's talking to.
Your Honor, we believe when it comes to law enforcement, they are able to testify about their investigation and things that they learn in the course of their investigation to
But
develop leads.
I don't know where he's getting this information from. People who potentially have an opportunity to cross-examine to determine the accuracy of the information they're given. That's why it's hearsay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have been going for almost an hour and a half, so we'll go ahead and I'll send you back to the jury room and you can begin our morning break while we have a hearing outside the presence.
All rise.
And Deputy Sadler,
Ma'am?
when you walk past the AC unit, could you turn it on?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, I wanna see how loud it is in here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Because we are at 75.
Ooh, that's gonna be hot this afternoon.
We may have to try the case California style, half day. All right, you may be seated, thank you. All right, if you could please question the witness with regard to where you learned this information.
Detective Prince, where did you learn the information about that she lived at 274 Turning Tree?
From her ID and a later conversation with Jimmy Dykes.
Okay, and from her ID first of all, and then later you spoke with Mr. Dykes, who indicated he lived there with her, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Initially, when you learned of 274 Turning Tree, I guess my question to you, and with Mr. Dykes, did that information necessarily, how did that information help you in your investigation?
Initially, it didn't. We were just looking to see if anybody actually lived there that had to do with Lisa or Charles or eventually Nina at the time. To see if anybody still lived there. We ran license plates at the address, see if anybody lived there. Recent research indicated that it was no longer her address based on where we basically knew where she lived in Kensington, and then, just, the research being done, and then checking the address, we didn't see any vehicles that had tied to anybody in the investigation at the time.
Okay, so, the driver's license first, and then you, from there, kind of checked, to see if any other individuals, or if she lived there, any license plates in her, in that 274 turning tree, if those came back to her, I guess if she had any connection with that house at that time, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
As far as the research is concerned, those were using tools, databases that are at your availability to determine maybe where people might have lived in the past.
Yes, ma'am.
And then it wasn't until March that you spoke with Mr. Dykes. So other than the conversation with Mr. Dykes, all of your knowledge concerning 274 turning tree comes from your research into databases that are available to you for your investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
Carolyn, pass witness.
Do you have any questions regarding
Yeah,
this
but
issue?
if he's using databases, I don't know what databases he's alleging he's getting this information from, Judge. As far as her ID, if that's her ID, I don't have any, obviously I don't have any objection to that, Your Honor, but if he's saying he's talking to Mr. Dykes,
Which databases were you using, sir?
Ma'am, it's been a few years. I generally use TLO, XP, and
What is that?
which it's an online investigative tool that we use for that collects marketing information, other information about people and previous addresses.
and again, I don't know the accuracy of that.
Well, you can cross-examine him on the issue, what he did in the course of his investigation and learning from her ID that she lived at the location in Wilmer. The court is gonna allow.
Yes, ma'am.
However, anything that Mr. Dykes told you is hearsay.
Sure. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then we're at recess for the next few minutes, if you need a break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's quiet, but not much air is coming out.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it
A regular steady
at, yeah, 'cause by
temperature.
the time 2 o'clock rolls around, we'll be at 80.
Do you feel that do you feel the air, Judge?
No,
Oh,
I mean, you can feel it coming out, it's just not very cool. Okay, so we need to get my bridge going.
yeah, it's not working at all?
No, it was where it was.
Yeah,
And then when you started this morning, it was nothing.
it could be, I mean, I don't know, but it could be the fact that it fell out of the socket. So you didn't have to change anything. I didn't change anything.
Yeah, I put it back.
You put it back? Okay, should you want to restart it?
Oh, restart my computer.
No. Well, I can
Because I've
restart.
been getting out and then going back in.
Okay, let me restart.
Okay.
Let me restart.
I can restart.
It could
I'm gonna stop